Watching some of the old Bugs Bunny cartoons, and I watched the first one that was supposed to be Bugs' first technical appearance, even though he was first appeared in Porkys Hare Hunt, where he had Woody Woodpecker's voice and laugh, but nothing else was the same. Well, in the A Wild Hare, which was him and Elmer Fudd's technical first appearance. Even though I think Elmer was probably in a Porky cartoon too, because they all started pretty much in the Porky Pig cartoon. So did Daffy Duck. But Elmer Fudd, this was like 1940. This was their first appearance. He looked like pretty much the way he did back in the 50s when they had completely finished everybody up and got them as their complete set characters. Their voices were all pretty much correct. Everything was perfect. It was like those are pretty much the best cartoons ever made. Even the ones from the 30s were amazing. I love them. That's like only kind of cartoons I really like. Except like, I'll watch some cartoons like the animes and stuff. I like those, but okay, I'm getting off topic. Well, and this was 1940. He looked pretty much normal, except he had a big ass red nose. Like, it was basically this. So yeah. And then Bugs, he looked pretty weird. He had like this shovel head. I don't know if that's, I guess it's just my way of saying it, but this weird out-jotted head. And if you're wondering, that noise was like me pulling a string on my shirt. Okay. Bugs had this weird out-jotted head and this droopy jawline like this, and his voice was deep, and he's like, "What's up, dog?" It sounded weird. Well, I decided, you know what, I want to go watch another old one. This was 2 years later. This one was the rabbit who's coming to dinner, and I was shocked because this is 2 years after Wild Hare, where Elmer Fudd looked pretty much normal. Well, in this one, now remember, this is 42. He looked like a big fat ass tax collector. Like, the voice was exactly the same, but this weird bowl hat, and he was fat, and had a big old retarded looking pink shirt on. And I was like, I didn't recognize him until he started talking. Like, "Ooh, did catch the Wabbit?" I was like, "Oh, it's supposed to be Elmer Fudd." But I guess they were just like playing around and experimenting. But I mean, they had him basically right 2 years prior to that episode of the Merry Melodies. I was like, the frick. And like, now Bugs had definitely improved from 38 because he looked nothing like Bugs. He was basically Woody Woodpecker in a bunny's body. So, because the guy that played the original Bugs ended up playing Woody Woodpecker. So he had the exact same laugh, the exact same voice, the exact same characteristics as Woody Woodpecker. Well, not really character, you couldn't see it, but the way he moved and jumped around, he looked more like Woody Woodpecker than Bugs. And that was the unnamed prototype rabbit, so it was technically his unofficial first appearance. Same as Daffy Duck, that the Porkys Duck Hunt was technically the unofficial thing with Daffy Duck. What baffles me though is the Daffy Duck one was supposed to be a year prior to the Bugs Bunny one. Well, the Daffy Duck one was in color, and Porky looked relatively normal. He still looked kind of weird, but then in 38, Porky looked freaking weird as hell, and it was black and white, and the voice was pretty much the same in both of those. It was the same as it was once the show got later and later into the spanning over the about 30, 40 years it was being made. I don't know if it's 40, but it's from like 30 to 60, I think, when they stopped making. It was in 1960. I'm not sure though. It may have been a different year, but I know all the most of the really popular Bugs cartoons were probably, I think, in the 40s and 50s. Okay, I'm getting off topic again. Well, that just confuses me that I guess maybe they got the year wrong on the video, cause like if it was a year before, why was it suddenly colorized and Porky looked better? I guess maybe if the date was right, they were just playing around with the black and white and did like they did with Elmer and Fudd and played around with the way he looked too. I don't know though. I think maybe the year was just wrong on the two on YouTube and Wikipedia. I think the year was probably wrong on that, because why would 37 have colorized and Porky looked normal, and 38 be black and white and Porky looked not very Porky Piggish? I mean, he was a pig, but he didn't have the same facial characteristics. And in Bugs, it came out, his first one was like a few years later, about 2-3 years later. Well, in the Porky Pig one, he looked weird as hell. Like, and I was like, it's weird. It was odd to see him not all Bugsy like he is in the later ones. And like once they got to the rabbit who's coming to dinner, his like Bugs' characteristics were all completely fixed, and his voice was still deep, but he got a little higher. Like I guess over the years his voice just got higher and higher and higher till it got to the regular Bugs tone and the Bugs voice. Well, I guess they just got, ooh, I got really bored. Let me go fuck around with Elmer Fudd. And let me make him look all retarded and weird. So, yeah. That one is still hilarious. I love it, but Elmer looked weird and it like, frick. People, why is he so weird looking? Now, when he was basically perfect in the first place. Like, he looked exactly like he was supposed to in his first technical appearance. He looked exactly like he does in the ones that were from like the late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s and stuff. That's when everyone got perfected. That's like when The Rabbit of Seville came out, which is one of my personal favorites. The song's been stuck in my head all day. But yeah, that's when that one came out. So I don't know. Guess they just got super bored and decided to mess around with him. His voice was exactly the same, but once I heard the voice, I knew who it was. But yeah, and once they handed him the letter telegram thingy that said Elmer Fudd in giant letters on it, I was like, yeah, he's definitely Elmer Fudd. It just freaked me out because he looked like a fat ass tax collector. So I guess I just got bored. And we're like, okay, well, before we perfect all the characters, let's go try and give them some new bodies and shapes and keep the same voices, but let's just try and mess around with the way like they look. And that's what they did, I guess. They kept his voice the same, thank goodness, because he sounded really weird if he didn't have that particular Elmer Fudd voice. And Bugs, it took him a while to get his regular voice, but like the deep one didn't sound bad, but it just sounded weird. It was better than the Woody Woodpecker one. That freaked me out. I was like, okay, it's supposed to be Bugs Bunny, but it's Woody Woodpecker the rabbit. Yeah. Who wants to see Woody Woodpecker the rabbit, really? Oh well. So, that's just my thoughts on the newish Elmer Fudd. Or the 1942 Elmer Fudd.